Don't you know that buying up all these homes is what's causing the housing shortage?
Well, let's just start with not the spiritual part, but your economic understanding. That's not what's causing the housing shortage.
This is Dave Ramsey, and he was asked a very point-blank question on the show, which I will show you the whole clip of, as to whether or not investors are helping our housing market.
How is it considered ethical for people to own so many houses? I'm just wondering how, as a Christian, this isn't seen as greed. Don't you know that buying up all these homes is what's causing the housing shortage?
Well, let's just start with not the spiritual part, but your economic understanding. That's not what's causing the housing shortage. Investors buying up houses is not causing the housing shortage, okay? Period. So you're just wrong.
You're just wrong, but you're just not, because there's actually three reasons for the shortage. One, we're not building enough. That's one. Number two, the lock-in effect. People have low rates and they don't want to move out of their homes. But number three, 1 out of 4 homes is purchased with plans to profit. They're investors.
Massive hedge funds or Blackstone, like all these, they're coming in and buying up.
But they don't have a soul.
That's right. Okay, so
Hedge funds don't have a soul.
Yeah.
Very odd take. Hedge funds are run by people, and those people are taking everybody's souls, because here's the income in the bottom 50%. And 115 years ago, a court case actually determined they do have souls, and that their souls are more important than ours.
The average person out there who has maybe 2 or 3 rental homes, right? They're on baby steps and they're doing it.
They're not causing it. But Blackstone, yeah, those guys are buying up houses.
So
that's true.
Is that
Okay. The lack of empathy is killing me, because you started your conversation by saying, no, investors are not causing the shortage, and then you immediately bend the knee to Blackstone, sorry. But I have this graph up here. See, if you can look right here, these are tier 4 investors. These are people who own more than 1,000 properties. Blackstone, BlackRock, Vanguard, Wall Street. You can see that in 2023, they bought 0.3% of properties. That's still too many. Don't get me wrong. And even people that own more than 100 properties to 999, way too many. What about the people, the regular everyday investors in his program that he wants to defend, that own less than 10? 20% nearly.
They're not causing it. But Blackstone, yeah, those guys are buying up houses.
So
that's true.
Is that is that affecting the housing market at all? Because that is.
It probably is to some extent, but not as much as TikTok says it is.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, he's saying that Blackstone and companies like them, in the blue, are causing the shortage, and not regular everyday investors, in the gray. Why are we only boogeymanning Blackstone and not addressing the elephant in the room, the regular everyday investor? Because he runs a business, and those are his clients.
You really don't want your economic lessons on TikTok. I'll just help you with that in general. But anyway.
You're on TikTok, though.
I know, but that just proves that I'm lacking in judgment.
Demonizing the same platform you utilize for growth of your business. You sound like a presidential nominee.
I don't know. I don't even know. 15, 20 houses and a bunch of commercial real estate as well.
Can you imagine the privilege it takes to not know how much real estate you own? Also, he's worth over $200 million. Not saying that's wrong, but recognize your position of privilege.
How is that not greed? Because I don't own anything.
Now, what I thought he was about to go into here was LLCs, trusts, corporations, and foundations that give people the ability to America to basically keep all of their transactions private. That's what he's about to talk about, right?
Because I don't own anything. I'm a Christian. And that means God owns it, and I'm managing it for him. So I guess you're calling God greedy now.
Okay.
What?
Dave, why do you need so many houses? Why don't you just give all that extra money away?
I'm managing money for God.
Titus 1:7-8. Yes, Titus is a book of the Bible. For an overseer as God's steward must be above reproach. He must not be arrogant or quick-tempered, or drunkard or violent or greedy for gain, but hospitable, a lover of good, self-controlled, and upright, holy, and disciplined. Empathetic, understanding, things like that.
At 3 bathrooms, you have 3 more than most people in the world.
And if you'd like to rent those 3 bathrooms in the boonies of Delaware, that's going to cost you $2,700 a month.
If you make $38,000 a year, you're in the top 1% of income earners in the world.
Yeah, so that's not true. The top 1% of income earners hold a disproportionately large share of the world's wealth. According to the World Inequality Database, to be in the top 1% globally, an individual needs an annual income of approximately $172,000 USD, according to the latest data. To be top 1% in the USA, $819,000.
How are you not greedy? Because amounts don't create greed. Greed is a spirit.
This is a fair point. Poor people can be greedy, rich people can be greedy, good people, bad people.
Greed is a spirit. It is not an amount. You know, if you want to be a communist, just be a communist.
The baseline of this argument actually doesn't have anything to do with communism, which is when the government owns a little bit of everything. It's more socialism, which is kind of more what Jesus taught, to freely give and not take from one another. And if you were to ask me, even though he didn't take a stance in the Bible, as to whether or not today he would prefer socialism or mega corporate capitalism,
a form of heresy called Gnosticism, that believes that the material is bad, and anyone that has the material, their soul is in jeopardy.
The Bible-believing Christian who's seeing consistently old white straight men, sorry Dave, defend their wealth and defend their position with the air of Christianity. I'd like to read a verse for you. It's actually a couple verses, and it's about a rich man who wants eternal life. And Jesus responds saying, it's simple to enter eternal life, just keep the commandments. But then the rich man says, which ones? Tells him 6. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, bear false witness, honor your father and mother, and love your neighbor as yourself. And the rich guy's like, dog, I'm doing all that. What do I lack? Now, why did Jesus only bring up 6 of the 10 commandments? Hit that in a moment, because Jesus said, sell it, give it to the poor, and follow me. As a Bible-believing Christian or even a historian, could you imagine the opportunity to just stop what you're doing in life and go follow one of the greatest stories of all time live? Jesus only asks about these 6 commandments because these are 6 publicly viewable commandments. We can see that you're not stealing, murdering, and you're not bearing false witness. But what Jesus could see is that his heart had an idol that was before God, the first commandment that he didn't mention. Knowing the rich man had an idol before him in his heart, he said, sell all your things and follow me. And the rich man said, no.
Greed is a spirit. It is not an amount.
You're right, and that's probably why King Solomon, one of the richest people who's ever walked this planet, said, a rich man is wise in his own eyes, but a poor man who has understanding will find him out.
We're heretics. So if you want to do a little theological rabbit hole, we can do that.
I'd much prefer an economic rabbit hole with you to debate whether or not you truly believe that investors aren't perpetuating a problem. When 1/4 of every home that is purchased for the plans of profit, let me tell you what happens. It means that out of the 4 to 5 million homes that sell every year, that 1 to 1.25 million of them are bought by an investor and not by a family. It doesn't take much math or research to know that my voice cracked and that we need 4.5 million homes. And if you do the math for every home that's sold in the last 4.5 years and see how many were purchased by investors, we'll see that this many homes were purchased by investors. So we need this many homes, and this is the growing number of homes that have been purchased by investors in just the last 4.5 years.
But your economic understanding, that's not what's causing the housing shortage. Just buying up houses is not causing the housing shortage, okay? Period. So you're just wrong.
Mr. Ramsey, I'd like to say, first of all, you've helped millions of people, if not hundreds of thousands, get out of debt, save money, grow their investment portfolios. You've done a lot of good. One thing in the past 4 years that has happened in our country is that the wealth gap is perpetuated to a point where if something isn't done systemically, we are going to have a major shift. And from your perch of both Christianity and wealth, I would love for someone of your position to be able to bring light to that issue and not continue to downplay, gaslight, and belittle those that question it. You cannot use your ordained logic and position to continually and perpetually gaslight the next generation by poverty shaming them. It's out of touch and it's wrong. But hey, we're just on TikTok. What do we know?